What's going on, you guys? Okay, what is going on, you guys? Let's talk about Sony's E3 press conference. Now, before we get started, I just want to say, one, I will have a Nintendo video out also talking about the Nintendo Direct that they had at the same time as this video. So once you're done with this video, hop over, check that one out. Lots of things to talk about with Nintendo and lots of things to talk about with Sony. Let's talk about Sony. I just want to say right up front, I'm going to sound a lot more negative about this conference than some of the others. And it's not because I hated the conference, and I will explain my reasons, but I just want to say I did not think this conference was worse than, like, EA's. I don't know, maybe I liked it more than Bethesda's, or for example, or, maybe it had more games that appealed to me than Microsoft. But as a fan of PlayStation and as a fan of Sony since I was a kid, well, not really Sony, but just PlayStation generally, a Sony PlayStation. Grew up on the PS2, PS1, had a PS3, have a PS4. As a fan of PlayStation since I was a kid, I'm going to be very critical in this video. Because, you know what, I'm not going to get into it. Let's just go beat by beat and I'll explain my reasons. So they start off the show, and it's Sean Layden, and he talks to everybody, and then they're in this little church venue, and it's fine, it's the introduction, whatever. Then they're going to jump into the first game. And this guy comes out and starts playing the fucking banjo. And this is where we hit our first problem. Why is this guy coming out and playing a banjo for 5 fucking minutes before we get to The Last of Us 2? I understand that it's to lead into The Last of Us 2, but he couldn't play for like 1 or 2 minutes. Like, he seemed like he played for quite a while. At least it felt that way. And you could have been done like Ubisoft. I'm not doing an Ubisoft one, by the way, but just to use Ubisoft as an example. When they showed the Donkey Kong DLC, they had people playing the instruments during the trailer. If you really want to bring people to the stage and do music, have them play during the footage. I don't understand, like, that was a really slow, dumb intro. Then we get Last of Us 2. Last of Us 2 looks really good. You're playing as Ellie, visuals are stunning, there's good stealth, it looks fun. It looks very Last of Us, it wasn't anything mind-blowing in terms of, gameplay, but it looks really good. And The Last of Us has been announced for like 3 years now. So did we get a release date? No. Okay. Did we get a season and a year? No. Did we get a year? No. We got nothing. After 3 years, this game still has no windows. Like, that was disappointing. That was ridiculous. Gameplay was great, but no release window, nothing like that. Not coming this year. Not coming next year. I mean, maybe it's coming next year. Maybe we'll find out at next year's E3. But that'll be like, I'm pretty sure that'll be its 4th E3. Or no, The Last of Us wasn't at last year's E3. It was at the year before that is when they announced it. Did they announce it at E3? I think they did. And then they announced it in like 2016, and then it wasn't at 2017. So this is its 2nd E3, but it's its 3rd year. So that'll be its 4th year, 4th E3 technically, or not technically, but you know what I mean. And then it'll get a fucking, that's ridiculous. That's absurd, that's stupid, don't like that. But the game looked good. Then they have to move everybody. They had this venue, and then they move everyone to the main theater. So now we get this like pre-show, boring-ass interview with Sean Layden that is fine as an interview, but this is not the place for it, not during your conference. This completely destroyed the pacing of the conference. And then moving forward from that, we get Black Ops DLC and Destiny during the interview. I'm glad they pushed that stuff to that, and they showed off some indie games that they already announced, so that was nothing. Then we get back in the theater. Now they're going to show Ghost of Tsushima, and we've never seen Ghost of Tsushima. Even with The Last of Us, we've seen the first one. We know what The Last of Us is about. We've never seen Ghost of Tsushima, so this is exciting, right? Dude comes out and plays the fucking windpipe dressed as like a Japanese, like another 5 minutes of fucking bullshit music. They're both talented. Banjo guy and this guy were both really talented. But again, wasted like 5 minutes on music. And then we see Ghost of Tsushima. And I'm going to say right now, Ghost of Tsushima looks absolutely gorgeous. The art direction, the graphics, all that stuff is beautiful. And the game looks good. It looks fun. But at the same time, it really doesn't look like anything special. Like, the combat looks good. It's fine. The stealth looks serviceable. The climbing looks serviceable. You have like this stealth takedown where you can kind of like slow-mo and take out a few guys around you. Very Batman Arkham. I don't know. Like, it looks good. You know, visually it's amazing, and the presentation is great, and it's very samurai and it's very Japanese. But I don't know. Like, to me, it was just kind of like fine. Like, it just looks like he walks around, looks around. Okay, visuals are stunning. Probably open world. Maybe. And he gets into combat, and the combat looks good. But yeah, like it doesn't look like anything crazy good outside of its presentation, which is amazing. I don't want to reiterate that too much, but I just want to, I don't want to be too negative on the game. It just looks fine. No release date, no release window. Okay. So we got to see it, I guess. Then they moved on. This is where the pacing did get better, I will say. Then there was I'll just go through like the side games real quick. There was a game called Control made by Remedy. Probably multi-plat. Maybe it's exclusive. I don't know if they specified. It looks okay. Not really much shown. Looks kind of interesting, but it could suck. Could be good. It's a new game. Okay, fine. Then we had a platformer. I like platformers. I like 3D platformers by Justin Roiland. It looked fine. I don't know. Like, it didn't look like a bad game, but it didn't look like super interesting either. I'll have to see if it's going to be like a really good platformer or if it's going to be kind of shitty, whatever. We'll see. Sense of humor would probably be very Rick and Morty, so that'll be kind of fun for me because I'm a Rick and Morty fan, but again, not much on that game. Another Kingdom Hearts 3 trailer. We knew the release date before E3, and we already knew... well, I guess this is technically new footage that the Pirate World is coming back. I don't know if that was confirmed. But yeah, like, we already know about the game. Like, it looks great. Like, Kingdom Hearts 3 looks, like, stupid amazing. Like, I'm ready to play the entire series just to play Kingdom Hearts 3. It looks that good. Like, it's stupid how good that game looks. But with that said, I don't really care. Like, we know the release date already. We already know it's coming. Microsoft had it. Square had it. It's not that special. It's not that special that they had it. And then they had Resident Evil 2 Remake. Cool to finally see footage of it, but we already knew about it. I don't know if it had a release date. I think it might have had a release date for early next year. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. But yeah, so they showed that, but that's multi-plat. So that's not, anything for Sony, really. I mean, it's nice that they revealed it, I guess, but again, it's not multi-plat. Then we have the... what the fuck was it? Wait, was that the last one? I think that might have been the last one. Oh, and going back to Ghost of Tsushima real quick, just as an example, as good as Ghost of Tsushima looked, and it did look like a good game, that From Software game, that Sekiro Shadow Dies Twice thing from Microsoft's show, and I'm not trying to give Microsoft, like, a pat on the back here, because it's probably a multi-plat game, because it has Activision attached to it, and that's worrisome, too. But setting aside Activision, setting aside that it's a multi-plat, it looks like a way better, like, Japanese sword-fighting samurai game. It looks way better than Ghost of Tsushima. It looks way more fun, interesting, fast-paced. It looks better than Ghost of Tsushima. It just does, in my opinion. And that's just an example of what I think. Like, Ghost of Tsushima looks fine. It looks good. But it's nothing that, like, blew my socks off. And I wouldn't even say the From Software game blew my socks off. It just looked really fucking cool. So, yeah, just as an example. And now let's move on to the big games. Then we had Death Stranding. This was a huge disappointment. This was literally, after all the Oscar-winning trailers and all the stuff Kojima's shown, we still know nothing about this game. It was walking. It was walking for like 7 minutes. And a little bit of stealth. It's okay, there's stealth in the game. We kind of figured there'd already be stealth based on the other footage we've seen. So, yeah, what was the point exactly of showing Death Stranding if it was just going to be walking? You can't do a first impression over. A first impression is a first impression, and my first impression is, oh, that was underwhelming. I'm sure the game's going to be amazing. It's Kojima, it's the guy who made the Metal Gear franchise. I'm sure it'll be amazing and inventive and have a crazy story and visuals, and the visuals do look great. And I'm not saying it's a walking simulator. I'm sure it has other elements, as like, specifically stealth and things like that. But they had nothing to show. Nothing. Does it have light RPG elements? Does it have cover fire shooting? Does it have shooting? I think we saw him with a gun at one point. Does it have platforming? Like, anything? Like, does it have any of this stuff? Like, okay, maybe it has platforming because he was climbing a cliff at one point, but like, they gave us nothing on what the game actually plays like other than walking around and maybe some stealth. Like, that's weak. That's weak as fuck, bro. And no release date, no release window. Again, all their games are like this, except for the final game, which was Spider-Man. And I'm going to tell you right now, watching Spider-Man, I was like... Nut, 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 nut. Nut, 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 nut. Yeah, that pretty much sums it up. It looks amazing. No pun intended. It looks fantastic. Cannot wait to play it. And I know when I can play it because it does have a release date that was not announced at E3, a release date that we've known about forever because the game comes out in like 2 seconds. It comes out in like, what, 3 months? It comes out in like 3 months. I'm going to be playing it. We've already seen extensive footage on it. You could have had Days Gone here. You could have had substantial Death Stranding here. You could have cut the show short. You could have done anything else. Medieval, you announced like a Medieval remake. Where was that? I don't want to judge too harshly for what's not there, but I'm just trying to think of things that could have been there that were not there because Spider-Man was. And Spider-Man, again, looks amazing. And no pun intended. It looks incredible. Spectacular, pun intended. But yeah, like, I don't know. It's just like, nothing they had to show was new. They didn't announce anything new except for Control and the Rick and Morty game, or the Justin Roiland game, both of which looked fine. The footage they showed for Last of Us and Ghost of Tsushima, those first looks, were good. Last of Us especially looked really nice, but with no release date or no release window, there's nothing to get excited for. The pacing of it was all over the place, very poorly paced for like the first third, with all the fucking music and venue switching and like weird like during the conference, pre-conference thing, and then no one came on stage to talk about anything. It was just games, and then it was done. It was safe. It was lazy, in my opinion. It was phoned in. The games looked good, but this could have been a digital direct, like Nintendo. It didn't even need to have a conference. You would have fixed the pacing problem right there if you had made this a digital thing, like Square Enix and Nintendo. And Square Enix sucks. Don't get it twisted. Theirs was bad, but like, I don't know. And again, that's the thing, is I liked how all the games looked. They all appeal to me, except maybe Death Stranding, because I don't know what the fuck it's about. But everything there appealed to me. Everything there looked like games I would want to play and pick up, and I had fun watching it. But if I'm trying to be objective, they had nowhere near the best conference. I'd say probably the weakest of the big three. And that's not because the games looked bad, it's just because the conference in and of itself gave you almost nothing. No solid dates, no brand new games, no surprise announcements really. Maybe outside of the two I mentioned that aren't that big, It was just kind of a bland showing. They went through each game, they all looked good, and then they called it quits. It was lazy, it was, again, very phoned in, and that's PlayStation now, that's Sony now at all these conferences. They just coast. Because they're at the top, they've gotten really cocky and really arrogant, and they won't do crossplay, and they won't even let you carry your Epic account over to the Switch version of Fortnite. A lot of people are complaining about that, and Sony won't let you do it because they make the rules, because they're the top dog, and they're not trying to innovate or do anything new. All their games are third-person action games, story-driven. Not saying that's bad. I like those kind of games. Uncharted, God of War, Last of Us. Well, Last of Us, I don't know. It's a good game. I had a good time with it, but I don't know if I'd ever play it again. But yeah, like they all appeal to me. Spider-Man looks great, but where's your first-person shooters? Where's your RPGs? Where's your dedicated, 3D platformers? Not fucking knack. Not that half-assed knack bullshit. Where's a dedicated 3D platformer? Where's a first-person shooter, like I said, an RPG, turn-based or otherwise? Where are these games? Where's other genres besides story-driven third-person action games? Like, in the PS3 era, we had, Killzone, and we had, like, hey, let's try to revive Sly Cooper. And we had a whole bunch of Ratchet and Clank games coming out, and they were all trying different things. Where are these games, Sony? Like, where's trying to do different things with your IPs? You tried to do a Smash Brothers clone. It wasn't good, but you tried to do a Smash Brothers clone. Where's the innovation? Where's trying to do other genres? You're just doing the same genre over and over now, and it's good, and I like it, and I'll play the games. But yeah, all the things I listed are reasons why I don't think this was that good of a conference, in my opinion, despite liking all the stuff I saw from it. And again, like I said at the beginning, I'm only being this critical because of how much I care about PlayStation. I grew up with PlayStation. I want them to be the best they can be. And even though the games are great, I don't think they're being the best they can be in terms of variety, in terms of innovating, in terms of going out there and really, knocking it out of the park with a great conference. They're just complacent and lazy, and it's really sad to see. But I didn't think it was the worst conference. I did, for my own, what it's worth, I liked it better than EA. I probably liked it better than Bethesda because it had more games that appealed to me than Bethesda. But Microsoft won in terms of, at least against Sony. And I'd say Microsoft probably beat Nintendo too. But I'll talk about Nintendo. I'm really torn on which one I liked more, Sony or Nintendo. And I'll talk about Nintendo in a separate video, so I'm not going to go into it now. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say. Shit down my throat for my opinion in the comments section below. What did you think of the conference? Go ahead and tell me. Give this video a thumbs up, share it on social media. Both those help me out a lot. Subscribe if you haven't already, if you like what you've seen here. Click that little bell to get notifications when my videos go up. I want to thank you guys for watching, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.